Thank you for joining this session on the new CTE program application. If you have the CTE program application instruction document, you can reference it during this training. This session will review benefits of becoming an approved CTE program, and we'll go over how the application is organized. We will also briefly review the Minnesota CTE framework used for building CTE programs across the state and prepare your local education agency to complete the application for submission. You'll see the abbreviation LEA used throughout this presentation, and we will reference LEA in our communication with you. LEA stands for the Local Education Agencies, which is districts, charters, and other education agencies similar to that. When an LEA has an approved CTE program, the district gains access to levy and Perkins funds, along with a variety of supports designed to help strengthen alignment with the Minnesota CTE framework. These supports not only elevate the quality of CTE programming, but also encourage continuous improvement across classrooms and pathways. Most importantly, approved programs help us keep students at the center, ensuring that each learner's career journey is supported, valued, and guided through high-quality opportunities.
Who completes the application? It's going to be a combination of a CTE program administrator or a CTE director or an individual that your school authorizes to fill that role. And then there's also going to be an aspect where the identified official with authority to sign will need to complete the assurances. Generally, that's the superintendent or a director, but we encourage districts or LEAs to communicate with their school districts prior to and ensure the correct individual is authorized to sign and complete those assurances. We also encourage you to review the instructions document. That will help just guide the individuals on the handoff process. So if one individual completes the narrative responses and then another individual, the Iowa, completes the assurances, there is guidance on how to hand that off between the individuals. Additionally, the parts of the application include the LEA information, so just some key information about the LEA, the identified programs that you wish to get approval for, and then there's going to be the narrative responses, which are aligned to the CTE framework. If you have not heard about the new CTE framework, we encourage you to watch some recordings that will be shared later in this presentation and review what those are, and it will just help guide you as you complete the narrative responses for your LEA as a whole and not per program area. And then as we just noted, there'll be assurances, the signature, and then the final submission. And again, all of this is laid out in the instructions document to help guide and prepare you. The instructions document also has some additional information and a glossary to ensure you're well prepared for each aspect as you go along in the process. Here is just a screenshot of that first page of the application, and the LEA information we'll be requesting, along with some just instructions and steps to ensure the handoff process and communication is clear and everyone feels comfortable with what they need to do. The next aspect that we noted were the CTE program areas. So in the picture, you'll see the career fields. So the new Minnesota CTE wheel came out a couple months ago, and it's very industry driven. And we felt it was appropriate to align our application with this. And so there's the CTE career wheels, and then on the other side, you'll see the screenshot of the CTE program areas. You may see that there's a little different terminology and verbiage used compared to what we've done in the past, but the same concepts and principles apply, and that it is up to your district to ensure that you have the correct, or your instructors have the correct CTE PELSB licensure for those areas that you're checking or that you hope to have in your program in the future. And then, as we discussed, the narrative responses will be aligned to the CTE framework. So within the framework, students are at the center. Safety should be embedded throughout everything that we do. And then there's 11 other key areas that align to those narrative responses that you can get additional information through some resources that we'll be providing next.
The framework serves as a helpful guide for strengthening career and college readiness, supporting clear pathways, and building alignment across programs and systems. It brings together research-based insights and that help program quality, support continuous growth, and promote strong learner outcomes. Every LEA is unique, so the guidance in here is flexible and can be adapted to meet the needs of students and your local workforce partners. And by encouraging collaboration among educators, industry, and post-secondary teams, the framework helps us work together toward a shared understanding of what high-quality CTE can look like. Again, always keeping our learners at the center. This is a QR code to help you find additional more detailed information about the framework. There's some details on our website that go much deeper into explaining each one of the components on this framework. So referencing the framework, as we built out the application, you will notice that a number of the narrative sections go along with that. Each section also includes additional prompts to help guide your responses. When you're completing the narratives, keep the focus really high level. In the past, our applications were completed at the program's content level. So specifically pulling out if you had an AFNR or a TNI or health science programs, you were pulling, each one of those had their own applications, but this specific detail is no longer required. So the responses about your career and technical education program should be answered at the LEA level. You can include specific program examples when they help you illustrate the work that's being done. Otherwise, make sure that your responses are concise, aiming for about 150 words or lower. And you can also use data when it strengthens your explanation or it provides some helpful context in providing the answer that you are explaining.
As you're well aware, data reporting has always been a process within program approval. Within the CTE application, we're still going to ask for data. The current method has been the P file, and that will still be a process moving forward for at least a year. However, we're also going to be transitioning to the MCCC codes for data reporting. And so we encourage you to listen in on some presentations that will be occurring or recordings that will be made available on data reporting and how this will impact your school district. The goal is just to make it more streamlined and ensure our data is accurate as possible. If you have any questions, again, there'll be some additional information to the recordings and where to find that information in our presentation. So as I noted, we have had CTE framework training. The recording can be accessed through the link there. And then there is also data submission training as well. And although these dates have now come past since this recording has been made available, the links to those recordings can also be found and listened to. And this is just a really good chance to ensure that individuals at your district that oversee different parts of data, of CTE program approval applications, maybe even curriculum, that they all maybe listen in on these recordings, these presentations, and ensure that everyone is on the same page and has a full understanding to ensure that everything is streamlined and this transition goes well. And again, we are always here to help and support in the process. From there, submitting the application. So again, you're going to have the Iowa identified and signed, and then they're going to ensure also that everything is accurate and complete in the application and that compliance is done to the best of your ability and within all of your knowledge. And then you'll submit one full application online. And so there won't be any back and forth. It will be one complete application when submitted.
Amendments are needed when your program is adding or removing a specific content area, or when the CTE program administrator contact information needs to be updated. When adding a new content area, the application questions will be like the overall CTE program application we're discussing here today. Application amendments will not be required for teacher or course changes. However, the CTE program administrator should keep records of all these changes for any required monitoring reviews. More on this in a minute. Where to find the CTE program application. So you can click on or scan the QR code image to the right. This will take you directly into the application. If you would like to look at a little more information, you can go through our MDE website by clicking on the program application website link that's provided there. The dates are the same as in the past. We'll be accepting applications from June 1st to November 1st. And then as in the past as well, we have offered training for different groups that are up for renewal. And then as new programs surface or as your needs surface, just reach out and we are happy to provide technical assistance. So go back one slide. Program monitoring will occur as a part of your 5-year program cycle. Monitoring is an opportunity for the LEA to reflect on the programs that you have and for MDE to support the work being done. The ultimate goal of monitoring is to continue to improve all CTE programs in the state of Minnesota. You will be notified in advance and be given specific details of what is needed prior to any monitoring. This is also a time where we can work together to work through any challenges that the LEA is facing and for us to help provide any resources as needed. Application assurance topics are listed here. These areas, along with the responses from your program application, will be referenced during monitoring. You'll be able to see a list of examples of possible documentation that you could have on the CTE application instructions document. This document will include some potential types of examples of evidence that you can use for each area. Certainly is not a complete list of all documents that could potentially show that information, but gives you an idea of some things you might have to show the strengths in each one of these areas. Be sure to save or plan to access this type of information when a monitoring is scheduled. But again, you'll know the areas that will be reviewed prior to any monitoring session. Also, we won't be looking at all of these documents, but we'll spot check a few areas that you will know about prior to any monitoring visit or online or desk review type scenario. And that could be different for each LEA.
We are aware that you probably have some questions, and we respect that and we want to hear them. So scan the QR code, click the link provided here, and please send questions to ensure that we have everything documented and that we can answer them fully and completely. And as more arise as this continues on, please do not hesitate to reach out. We truly do want to ensure that this is a collaborative process moving forward. And we understand that change is hard and stressful, and we want to ensure that we are effectively communicating and working with each LEA. With that, we would also greatly appreciate any feedback that you could provide. We are always looking for ways to improve and grow in our training, our recordings, our webinars, and reaching individuals to ensure that we're effectively communicating with everyone within an LEA to ensure that Minnesota CTE is strong and viable and that we are supporting all that are part of it. And with that, we just greatly appreciate your time and all that you do to support Minnesota CTE and education here in the state of Minnesota. And we look forward to additional communications and trainings coming out in the near future. Thank you.